In Mexico, not only the soldiers but also the people rose up and continued the decisive battle. But as the United States forces continued to attack, they were defeated in various places. Due to the difference in military and national power between the two countries, the situation became unfavorable as time went on, only increasing the damage to Mexico. In this way, Mexico realized that there was no chance of winning anymore, and as the occupation by the United States increased, the Mexican government eventually gave up its resistance and proposed negotiations that were tantamount to surrender to the United States. In February 1848, the two countries signed the Accord of the Guadalupe Hidalgo, officially ending the war. Mexico recognized Texas's incorporation into the United States and agreed to the Rio Grande River as the border of the region claimed by the United States. And apart from that, Mexico had to sell all of the present-day states of California, Utah, Nevada, and most of New Mexico and Arizona to the United States at a bargain price. Mexico was forced to sell huge territories covering more than half of Colorado, South Wyoming, and parts of Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas for only $15 million. Of course, if Mexico had not accepted this proposal and continued the war, the United States would have annexed not only the Baja California Peninsula, but also the states of Sonora and Chihuahua. Maybe Mexico could have become a U.S. territory entirely. In fact, American hardliners argued, let's annex all of Mexico to the United States. However, if all of Mexico had been annexed, it would not have been possible to massacre or deport all Mexicans, who numbered the equivalent of more than 1/3 of the total population of the United States at the time. Of course, the Mexican population could be accepted as Americans, but the burden would have been difficult for the United States to bear if it had occupied all of Mexico.
At the time, the land acquired by the United States from Mexico amounted to 55% of Mexico's territory in terms of total area. But the Mexican population living in the area did not exceed several hundred thousand. Only part of the land along the Mexican border was purchased for $10 million, which is known as the Gadsden Purchase. The United States continued to dispatch envoys such as William Walker to Mexico's northern states of Baja California, Sonora, Chihuahua, and the Isthmus of Tehuantepec. Furthermore, under the pretext of ensuring stability around the United States, it actively encouraged and supported separatism in Mexico, including in the Yucatan Republic and the Rio Grande Republic.
Meanwhile, the United States was engaged in a territorial dispute with Britain over the Oregon region, today's Canada, to the north as well as with Mexico to the south. The United States was assertive and had a strong will.
Because of this, it went to the brink of war with England, but both Britain, which was in turmoil due to the Irish famine at the time, and the United States, where war with Mexico was imminent due to the Texas issue, made concessions and found a compromise.
And in 1846, the Oregon Treaty established the 49th parallel as the boundary between the two countries. The United States, which eliminated the risk of a two-sided war by finalizing the northern border issue, poured all of its power into Mexico with confidence, and as a result, succeeded in acquiring a vast territory from Mexico.
It was during this period that the present-day vast mainland of the United States was completed. This expansion completed the United States as a country that occupies most of North America's land and spans both the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. And as the era of pioneering the West began in earnest, the US began to develop at a terrifying pace. As time went on, all kinds of mineral resources such as copper, gold, oil, and uranium poured out of California, New Mexico, and Texas, which had been acquired from Mexico in this war. So the United States was blessed with the resources. In time, the newly acquired states contributed to one of the causes of the Civil War. Slave states and free states, which had been in a tense confrontation, began to have a fierce conflict over whether the new states obtained in this war should be slave states or free states. Among the newly acquired lands, the West Coast, including California, where northern immigrants made up a majority of the population, sided with the North. Texas sided with the southern slave states, which eventually led to the Civil War. Territories that had not yet been promoted to a state and thus did not have slavery-related laws were claimed by both sides. At the same time, Mexico, which had been defeated in the war with the United States, suffered an irreversible blow to its morale and economy. The lost territories, which included Texas, amounted to 2.4 million square kilometers, or 55% of Mexico's territory. Furthermore, President Santa Anna, who advocated a strong central government, was overthrown due to responsibility for the defeat of the war. Since then, Mexico has been led by a decentralized federation rather than a strong central government. Compared to the United States, which formed a strong central government through the Civil War, Mexico was unable to form a strong central government afterward and faced continued political chaos. Apart from the issue of the cause of the war, Mexico performed terribly in the war with serious consequences. Starting from the capture of Santa Anna, the head of the state, by the rebels who were not even regular troops, the war proceeded disastrously for Mexico from beginning to end, with repeated defeats even in ground battles in Mexico's highlands.
To compare, in the Spanish-American War decades later, The United States took advantage of the locals' dissatisfaction with Spain and Cuba and the Philippines to turn the war to the United States' advantage. In Mexico, however, there was no public dissent against the Mexican government. Instead, the Mexican army's poor military performance led to its defeat by the United States.
However, in the war between Spain and the United States, the Spanish army performed well against the United States' army, but eventually surrendered due to supply and disease problems.
Even considering the case of the Battle of San Pascual, where a company of irregular Mexican cavalry troops defeated twice as many American troops, Santa Anna's operational capabilities were extremely poor.
Today, Mexicans criticize the United States for the Mexican-American War, but they do not go so far as to assess Santa Anna as a national hero or martyr.
Instead, Mexicans tend to revere Pancho Villa, who harassed United States soldiers constantly with guerrilla operations during the Mexican-American War, as Mexico's founding father. Thank you for watching the video, The War Between the United States and Mexico Part 3, provided by History and Current Events. I'm Rebecca, Olivia, Abigail, Jody, Lydia, Julia, and Tony have contributed so far as narrators. Thank you.